Good afternoon, everybody. My name is E.R.
I
Anderson.
see
I'm the
light.
Executive Director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. I'm really excited to be here today with our co-host, ZAMI NOBLA. They are always one of our favorite folks to co-sponsor stuff with, and they asked me, Angela Denise Davis was going to be with us to introduce our conversation partners today, but she asked me to go ahead and welcome on behalf of ZAMI NOBLA, so I'm going to do that. First, I'm going to just tell y'all, Fiona is traversing oceans to be with us right now. She's in Spain, so we're doing this like rigged up with a phone to a laptop. So we're doing the best we can. Her camera is coming in and out, so just trust we're gonna get to see her beautiful face in just a second. But the main thing is we want to be able to hear her voice and her words. So she will be back in just 1 second. So Jamaican-born Fiona Zedde currently lives and writes in Madrid. There she is. We can see her face. In Madrid, Spain, she is the author of several novellas and novels of lesbi, queer, love, and desire, including the Lambda Literary Award finalist Bliss and Every Dark Desire. Her novel, Dangerous Pleasures, was winner of an About.com Reader's Choice Award for Best Lesbian Novel or Memoir. You can find out more about her at fionazedde.com. We miss her every day at Charis, where she had been a bookseller for many, many years. So it's always a pleasure for us to get to celebrate a Fiona Zedde book, or a Lindsay book, or all of your pseudonyms as well. And we're really honored to have Sheree Greer here with us too. Sheree is a text-based artist living in Tampa, Florida. In 2014, she founded the Kitchen Table Literary Arts Center to showcase and support the work of Black women and women of color writers. She's also the author of 2 novels, Let the Lover Be and A Return to Arms. Sheree is a Vona Voices alum, Estrella Lesbian Foundation for Justice grantee, a Yaddo Fellow, and Ragdale Artist House Rubin Fellow. Her essay Bars, published in 4th Genre magazine, was nominated for a Pushcart Prize and notably named Invest American Essays 2019. And her latest essay, None of This is Bullshit, published at The Rumpus, was featured on Memoir Mondays and as a Best of 2020 editor's pick. So we are in great company today. We're thrilled for all of you to be with us in the chat. We love for you to make yourselves at home in the chat, say hi to one another as folks are already doing. You can also drop your questions in the chat or in this ask a question box at the bottom center of your screen. So please don't be shy about your questions. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way and let y'all get into it, because I know Sheree has prepared a lot of really wonderful questions. But we're so happy to be kicking off House of Agnes with you live from the beach in Spain. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, ER.
Thanks, ER, for that wonderful welcome. Welcome, everybody. So happy y'all here. You know what? As shitty as the pandemic is, like, the opportunity to lean into technology and like make boundaries imaginary has been a treat. So how amazing is it that you are in Spain and I am in Florida, ER's in, Georgia, and like we all in this space, and like folks is in the we got San Francisco, Fred's out there, DL's out there, my homegirl Lejeune, I'm turned up. So it's just really wonderful to be able to do this, right? Laredo, Sonia, you in Spain too, in Laredo? Cool. So we're here because you have a new book out. House of Agnes.
Yay! House of Agnes.
Yes.
Baby.
Yes, your new we got the book. Oh my Lord, that's what we got in the comments. So we're gonna talk a little bit, like just generally about writing and things, and then we'll talk more pointedly about the book. So you ready?
I'm ready. I hope my internet connection is ready, but I am ready. Hopefully it won't drop me.
So I'm gonna
be like, oh.
We're gonna focus our internet attentions to keeping our cameras and audio. So I'll shout out folks in the chat. You stay out the chat right now because we need to keep your internet preserved. Okay. So quick,
Okay, I'll look away from the chat.
I'll shout out the chat. You can talk through the chat, but don't be in the chat chatting. Chat on the screen. We're gonna keep your.
I'm gonna be focused right here on the screen. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. So, you are one of the most. You are most writingest writer I know right now. Like you are consistently writing, consistently publishing. You are always got a new book coming out or a new short story coming out. How would you describe your writing life?
I think it's hectic, but also not consistent enough for what I intend on doing. But it's great to be producing so much work, and it's also great to be hit with ideas left and right. I think I at some point I was like, oh, I'll do like a book a year, like years and years ago. And I thought that was a hectic schedule. But now I find myself, I want to do at least 2 a year and then put out some short stories and all this stuff. So it's crazy, crazy hectic. And some days I love it. Some days it just makes me tired.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do you like, I don't know, how do you manage it? Like, what's your average like writing schedule, like a day in the life almost? When you're on, when you're on, what is your writing schedule like?
When I'm on and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I get up at like 8:45, 7:45, and then have my coffee, and I'm sitting at my desk by like 9:30, and I do like 30-minute pomodoros, those like 28 minutes actually, like sprints of time where I am focused on getting one thing done, and then every 28 minutes I stop and then either like get up and stretch and then go back to it. And so I just do that until, lunch break at 2 o'clock, and then back to it by 4:30, 5 o'clock, and done by 8. And I'm either writing or editing or marketing.
Okay. All right. So all of those different kind of moving parts of what it means to be a full-time author. So we got Joanne is in the house on some ancestral lands of Coast Salish tribes. That's interesting. And we got Marianne from ZAMI NOBLA in the house. We are so thankful for your co-sponsorship for this event. So yes.
Thank
All right.
you.
What has been your favorite book and or favorite books to write?
Favorites. I really enjoyed writing my To Italy with Love, the title story of the collection. It just flowed like water after a trip I had to Italy. And I was just like, it just felt like the easiest thing that I've written in so long. And that was weeks ago. And Agnes was actually the hardest book I've ever had to write. And in some ways, after coming through at the other end of it, I was so relieved, and it was this great feeling of like, oh my God, I did it. So even though it was sort of torturous, at the end of it, I feel like I've never felt that kind of like relief and like gladness at the end of a project before, because it just felt so intense.
What was so difficult about it?
So it was a love-hate.
What was so difficult about it?
What was so difficult about it? I was trying to get in the mind of characters at the same time. And and two characters who were so different. It's like Ice Queen and like, I will fuck you up and your whole family. And then this other woman, she's so naive, Lola. She's so naive, but also she's got like, she's got issues. But they were just so different, and trying to like slip into their minds and accurately and authentically present who they were on the page. Yeah. And also dealing with this super complicated plot that on the surface of it seemed so simple, do these 8 things. But then in the end it was like, oh, but that's not legal in this state. And then, why do you do this? What about this gun thing? What about fire? Yeah. It was research, and then it was just hard. I was tearing my hair out.
Okay. Well, you pulled it off because the book is great, and the book is great. So in terms of storytelling, what are you most drawn to?
What am I? Anything. Like I don't think I'm drawn in any particular direction specifically, other than to tell women's stories or to tell queer women's stories. Like anything could grab my attention. Like I loved and was tortured by Agnes and like the action thriller madness of it all, like the uber reality of, it's not even uber reality, but anyway, like the hyper reality of the story. It's like, you know, guns and conspiracies and like, you know, someone who's so cold and badass. And then, but my next project is going to be about a PTA mom, you know, just it's sometimes a line comes to me, like an actual PTA mom.
Yeah.
And so, you know, just these different kinds of queer women's lives. I'm just fascinated by them, and I want to try to tell as many of them that pop into my mind as possible. And I also want to be able to recreate on the page all these different facets of our lives, of our queer Black female lives, not just like one aspect. Yeah.
Because you know, when I think about the books you've written a lot of books, man, and a lot of stories. And it's like, so I was sort of getting, when you were talking about like the gun and all that, I was thinking about like Nightshade. Like Nightshade was a assassin, you know? So it's like, you aren't afraid to just be like, I think I'm gonna write a character that kills people for a living. I think I'm gonna write a character that parties a lot and has group sex with her wife. Like, you aren't afraid to try anything on the page. So would you say that there's like an essential question or an essential thread, or is there something you're trying to get to, like in terms of characters, if not so much like different types of plots and things, but is there anything that you're drawn to in terms of trying to bring characters to the page?
I don't think so. Like, when you're asking this question, immediately I was thinking about, I tend to just try to work through my own issues on the page. You know, even though it may be through different lenses, it's like, okay, I'm dealing with, you know, as an example, like divorce. I'm dealing with questions about, you know, shifting sexuality. I'm dealing with questions of, you know, like family and loyalty. I'm dealing with questions about illness, you know, and so I funnel these questions into these books and these characters. And if anything, like, sometimes like the characters are so opposite to who I am, but then at times, like with Femme Like Her, that book that came out last December, that character felt too much like me, you know? But for the most part, they're really just, you know, different nuggets of myself hidden in another, like, very vastly different character.
So now people are like, I need to read Femme Like Her again and try to figure out what is it Fiona's trying to tell us. How did that feel with like getting close to the character? Like, did it freak you out? Do you draw back? Do you go, you know, screw it, I'm in it, I'm about to just go ahead and tell it and pour myself in there? Or how does it make you feel when you start seeing it?
It's scary. It's definitely scary. Like, yeah, I don't want to talk about like real life and like, you know, my challenges in any like open, naked way. I'm like hiding behind these pages. And so when I saw Nyla basically like being a mirror, I was like, oh no, I can't deal with this. Right. So I eventually just said, you know, screw it, let me just go with it, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to finish the story, because she appeared how she appeared, and I couldn't pull back. You know, if I pull back any further, I wouldn't finish the book. So she is who she is, all the different layers of me in a very, very naked way, for better or for worse.
So me and Marianne gonna read Femme Like Her again, because now we know Fiona equals Nyla. So okay, maybe not, maybe not
exactly.
not one to one, not one to one.
A strong resemblance.
Strong resemblance. So speaking of characters, specific characters, what character has been the biggest pain in the ass for you? Like who's like whether it's in terms of unlikable or just like this character is really driving you mad. Who is that?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That's an interesting question. And I don't know. I remember when I was writing Bliss, for example, and the character Regina came to me, and it actually was a literal person walked into Charis bookstore when I was working that day, and she was a sort of like tall, square, and so she wasn't, in the end, I wouldn't say she wasn't a good person, but she was, she did my girl wrong, right? And so it was, and the lady was so nice to me when she came into the store.
So you
but yeah, that was my first time sort of like
a nice character.
Yeah, because I thought she was this like mixture of really cool contradictions, right? And then I think when I was writing her, I didn't know where she was going, and I really wanted to like pull back and make her nice again. But for the purpose is in the story, so I felt just really conflicted about it. And that's about the closest. Like I feel like I don't wrestle that much with characters in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ah.
Okay.
What's that? Yeah. I was kind of in terms of Des in A Taste of Sin, like I didn't enjoy how she reacted to her mom and her best friend hooking up, but it's also understandable, right?
Yeah. I don't know that I'd be pleased if my friends was getting with my mama.
Right. And so, you know, her reaction in it's like there's like, you know, the drama you want to create in a novel, and then like if you think about if this happened in my life, I would kill. And so, you know, she was the main character in the first book, and then I had to make her sort of like, you know, the not unsympathetic, but just like the unforgiving, wronged party in a sense in the second book. And so I wrestled a bit with that too. Like, but yeah, I think for the most part, like I can't say that any character, you know, really gave me that kind of, you know?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You know, we already mentioned that.
So the characters you brought up Des, and then you brought up the inspiration in Bliss. So just for folks that are tuning in, so ER already mentioned, but like we riding the internet wave. So sometimes Fiona's camera might blink out, but we'll still hear her. And so we'll just work our way through it. So no matter what, Fiona, just keep talking.
Yes, if I'm gone, I'm sorry, you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna keep on talking. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm in a weird internet thing.
So what has been the loveliest character? Like you wish it was a real she or he were a real person, or they were a real person, so y'all can hang out. What character do you like the most?
So I really like Nuria. She is in a lot of books, I realize, and she doesn't really have her own story yet. I think she would just be so real, you know, like she has a lot of vulnerabilities, but she presents this intense, hard, not even hard, like impenetrable and fearless facade that I think she has so many life lessons to teach me.
Yeah.
Say that again.
So for the folks who you might have like some new folks that are new to Fiona Zedde on the line, where is Nuria? Where's she at? Where does she crop up at?
Okay, Nuria crops up.
Several books.
She crops up in the How Sweet It Is series. And that's a 6-book series right now. And so she crops up from book 1, which was A Taste of Sin. And then she has her she's a main character in the novella Bittersweet. Mm-hmm. And then she'll have her own book called Just Desserts, either next year or the year after that.
You hear that, Brenda? She got her own book coming. So be on the lookout for that. Nice. Nuria does seem like she seems like she'd be in your squad, like in your group of friends, which is how she shows up in the novels. But kind of that keep it real, stop bullshitting. Let me just tell you, you know you're doing wrong, or you know you're being, like she really is that kind of character.
Yeah, she will tell you how it is without flinching, and she also will at some point show you her vulnerability, which it'll make you feel even closer to her. And so I would love to sit down with her and have several drinks.
She says several drinks.
Yes.
All right. So House of Agnes is a lot. Like, it is a lot going on in that book. There is mystery, there is romance, there's a thriller element, there's erotica, because I don't know about y'all. Yeah, my homegirl saying "baby" in the comments. So I'm gonna just tell y'all, when I get to Fiona's sex scenes in her book, sometimes I'll get to like the middle of it and realize my mouth is open. Is that just me? I'm reading, and then I realize my mouth is open, and I close my mouth and try to finish reading. But so it's got it's firing on all of those cylinders. How did you come up with the story? Like, where did this come from?
I really don't know. I've always had this sort of fascination with which way word? Either way, it doesn't really matter. Strong women, right? And women who, they don't take any shit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take any shit, and also have like power over others, but they use that power for good. And who may or may not be misunderstood. So, I was in Florida, I think in like November of 2019, before all this crazy stuff happened. And she just her story came to me in very broad strokes. And then she started filling out as a person. Actually, the very first scene of the novel came to me, and I had no idea beyond that first scene, like what was going to happen. And so when I wrote it, I was like, oh, okay, I can see how she is. Like, she came to me from that scene. Like, that scene tells me, like, all she is, not all, but like most of what she is or what people perceive her to be. And I just ran with it. Just ran with it, and it became this story, which I struggled with, fought with, and eventually loved.
Mm-hmm. So,
and it is super different from what I did before.
So I mentioned Nightshade, and those of you who aren't familiar, Nightshade is an older book by Fiona that it's a novella though, right? Nightshade is a novella.
Yeah.
That features an assassin character, and so you're not shy about throwing some guns and stuff in the mix. So
I love guns.
So it was really interesting to be reading the book for a couple of different things, like reading it to see if if Agnes and Lola were going to give in to what was between them, but also reading it to see who's trying to take down the house and who's trying, like, there were so many things to be invested in during the writing. Like, as you were writing this book, how did you stay organized? Like, how did you you know what I'm saying? It was so much going on. Like, was this book, because it's so different, was the approach different in terms of even how you wrote it?
A lot of things were different. One of the things that was super different is my editor had to help me with a lot of the like sort of logistics, because she was like, you know, that's not really possible. And what about this? And so in a sense, like, I did the first draft, and then she was like, I think these 8 things are impossible. We need to revisit them. And so in a sense, I think it was a very collaborative effort in that sense, you know?
Kia's like, be careful now with your, you know what, Kia? I was saying when we were having this conversation, I was like, it's going to be very tricky to talk about it without spoilers, but we're going to do it.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
I'm going to stick to the stuff we know is happening in the book, which is,
okay,
you know, people getting it on. You know, people are sexy. You know, there's some intrigue. And you know, there's some surprises. Because those are always, I feel like those are key elements to your books in particular.
I like surprises. I like when I'm surprised. So when a certain thing happened in the book, I was shocked. And I was like, yes, I hope that means my reader's going to be shocked too.
I think so too. I feel like that. I feel like that is one of the things that writers should lean into a little bit more when they're actually writing. Like, if you're writing something and it surprises even you, then it's a good chance the reader will be surprised. Or if you're writing a scene and you are moved to tears, is a very good chance your reader might be moved to tears or laugh out loud or whatever. So
yes,
the fact that you were surprised, I could see it. I was surprised twice towards the end. So Kia is about to get real. So y'all got to read this book, because I need to know who all read the book so we can talk about it after. But one of the things that struck me about the book is was the broad view of what it means to portray Black queer characters on the page. And so we've already kind of hinted towards, you know, your propensity to kind of open up what it means to be Black and queer in terms of living your life, who you choose to love, who you choose to have sex with, you know, all these different parts that, I mean, they're moving parts of a person's life and identity. So like, how important is it for you to kind of create this more expansive representation for folks?
It's definitely become more and more important to me as I write, and as I grow older, and as I experience different aspects of my own, like, shifting sexuality and interests and all that. And I guess that's the sort of normal thing. Like, you know, we as humans become interested in things and want to expand the things that we see, that we sense within ourselves, and show that as well in our outer world. So I feel like in the past I had this sort of like limited idea of what it meant to be queer, or what it meant to be lesbian, or what it meant to be part of the rainbow community, you know? And as I've grown older and felt different things, experienced different things, and talked to different people, I realized that, like, that was a very, very limited view, first of all, and it can also be a hurtful view in terms of not being able to, or not embracing the different aspects of the community, you know? Like, there's a lot of biphobia, as an example, in the community, whether it's I'm going to say community in general, because I don't know for sure in like the white community versus whatever, but I do know, like, in the Black queer community, there is a lot of biphobia, as an example, you know? And then, right, and even just talking about those who are more masculine presenting, like women who are more masculine presenting, but who are also interested in dating other masculine presenting women. You know, that's also this sort of like taboo thing. And that's something that I'll be talking about in my next book that will come out in December. And all these different sort of restrictions on what it means to be gay or queer from our own community. And that's really limiting and hurtful. And I wanted to show that, you know, we are an expansive community with all shades of us, and all those shades are valid and respected, and we should all be able to see and hear another vision or version of queer or lesbian or bi or whatever, and be like, yes, it's your vision, it's your life, and it's valid. I'm not going to try to shit on it because I don't understand it, you know?
Yeah.
So I really want to write more books that embrace all of the different parts of our community. Not all, but like a lot of different shades of our community.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Absolutely. And I feel like I feel like that's something that you kind of always sort of, I don't want to say played on the edges of, but what maybe you were, you know, maybe toying on the margins a bit. And now, you know, us being writing partners for, I think, like a decade now, like this idea of watching, I mean, in terms of both of us, as our work is changing and maturing, and I feel like we're both taking like more creative risk. And so I feel like though you've always kind of had this feeling of pushing a few boundaries in terms of, you know, some of the relationships many of your Black lesbian characters have been in, whether that's, you know, polyamory. And, you know, my all-time favorite book by you still is Broken and Soft Places, where we have, you know, this throuple that includes, you know, a man. Like I love seeing risk-taking on the page, and I feel like you're just being like more intentional in like embracing the word queer in terms of, I want to write and represent as much of the community as I can. And so I really, really dig that. I really, really dig that. Sonia's co-signing on the Broken and Soft Places. Yep, and so is Roland. So I'm not alone. That's one of my favorite books by her. The House of Agnes is House of Agnes is off the chain. Everybody is beautiful in Fiona's books, just so you know, in many different ways. So it's a good read. I highly recommend it. So we kind of hit on what was the most difficult part of writing this book. What was the easiest part of writing this book?
Yes. The easiest part about, let's see. I think in a sense, and I was really happy about this because I've been having trouble with this for a while. In a sense, writing the sex scenes were easy.
Okay.
Because I feel like in the last couple of 5 years, I feel like my sex scenes have not felt as vibrant as they had in the past. And I was having trouble sort of manifesting, like, you know, felt sensuality in my last few books. And so I was just like, oh, is this sexy, or I thought I was trying too hard to make it like sensual and wet and like wonderful. And so the two central sex scenes, I feel like in House of Agnes, were easy, and they felt very sensual as I was writing them. And so I just sort of had a sense of relief, like, oh, okay, I can feel like this again with writing,
yes,
with writing sensuality. And
you say that every time. You say that, and I'd be like, where? Like, where? Because, like I said, I am always reading the scenes with my mouth open every time. So the two central sex scenes in House of Agnes, they do it. Like, they bring it, okay? But also, there is a there is like this imperceptible hum of sex through this whole book. And I don't know if, I don't even want to know how you pulled it off, but it's there. So like, even when other shit is happening, there's like this, I don't like I just see it as like a vibrating line of sex happening through every scene. The way you describe people's clothes, the way that they, my homegirl Lejay, who's also a writer, she says it's like a sex backbeat. And it is. It's just like, it's behind every scene, like dun, 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 every scene. And I'm here for it. So if ever you are doubting if you can bring the sexy, I invite you to reread House of Agnes, as if, because it's there. It's there. It's there.
Okay.
Like,
that's good to know. But that it wasn't just me like, okay, it just feels easy. Maybe it feels too easy. I don't know.
And the thing is, and Kia pointed out in the comments that it's different. There's a different feel to it. And I think there's a definite gift and talent in writing so much sex and making them feel different and engaging each time, which that's not one of my talents. It's definitely one of your talents. So lean into that. And I'll continue to be your sex writing cheerleader if you need it.
Sometimes I do need it because I'm like, what am I doing right now? I don't know.
So let's hear a little from the book. Y'all ready to hear some book? Let's hear from the book. Read a little to us.
Okay, well, I'm not going to read a lot because, I'm just going to read the first few 100 words.
Okay.
And this is from the first page. By the way, can y'all hear the music in the background where I am?
No one can hear the music. Go for it.
Oh, thank God. Okay. All right. I'm going for it. All work and no play makes Queen Agnes a very dull girl. Agnes saved the spreadsheet on her computer and looked up, masking her irritation at being interrupted. A glimmer of light fell over the bare shoulders of the woman walking into her office unannounced, the emerald mini dress a compliment to her slim but curvaceous figure. The woman's high heels teased the marble floor, and her smile said she wanted a lot more than a talk. Well, it's a good thing I'm not a girl then. She sat back in her leather executive chair, giving Rox the attention she so obviously wanted. The evening went well. Even if it hadn't, one of Agnes's security people would have let her know long before now. Just as expected, Rox gave her trademark smile, the one that regularly had men and women offering up thousands of dollars to spend a few hours with her. She pulled a small stack of bills from her cleavage, all hundreds and all miraculously dry, and laid them on Agnes's desk. It went very well, actually, and I kept the tip. Her cheek dimpled and her red mouth glistened in the soft golden glow from Tiffany desk lamp. Care to help me celebrate? Before Agnes could accept or refuse the offer, Rox shrugged off her dress. It slithered from her body and pooled around her feet in a puddle of green silk. Agnes drew in a breath. The lamplight played over Rox's curves, showing off her high-ass nipples stiff from the Arctic air conditioning. Her belly was tight with muscle, and her hips rounded and smooth. The V at the joining of her thigh was completely bare of hair. Bald vaginas had never been Agnes's. She sat back in her chair and rolled her favorite pen between her fingers, leisurely appreciating all the ways Rox had taken care of her body. The woman was beautiful, truly. From the loose waves of hair around her fashion model face to her long legs, and every worthwhile stop in between. But Agnes didn't fuck any of the girls who worked for her. Never had. Never would. They all knew that, and Agnes was well aware They still tried to make a game of seducing her. She'd seen plenty of naked women before, though, had touched enough of them, had made them come. There was nothing special she could have by drinking from that particular well. I have already had my dinner for the night, she said with slightly pursed lips. Finally, smiling with Rox huffed out a sigh of frustration and picked up her dress. They'd done this dance too many times before for Agnes's refusal to come as a surprise. Look at you, Rox went on. With your gorgeous face, all that flawless skin, those tits and legs, any girl he would kill for. You're perfect. But you might as well be a statue for all of the use you make of what you have, or what some of us have to go under the knife to get. It's a fucking waste. Even for Rox, this was a little bit much. She usually took it only as far as a little flirtation, flashing her bare breasts or sending suggestive texts. However, her attempt at cruelty was nothing compared to what Agnes had suffered on a daily basis at the hands of the man who had raised her. Are you quite finished? Agnes did not hide her amusement at the pathetic stab. It made her glad, these flashes of meaningless challenge she saw in Rox and some of the others. Before, with her father, they had been too terrified to do more than breathe around him. Now, they felt safe. Rox made that frustrated sound again. Fine, but you can't sit there untouched in your glass tower forever. One day, you'll have to let someone in, let them touch you, and feel what it's like to be a real woman instead of a queen of air and broken dreams. Rox draped the $1,000 dress around her neck like a scarf and turned on her stilettos, her nude body again shimmering faintly in the light. Good night, Queen Agnes. Good night, Rox. Agnes went back to what she'd been working on before the interruption, paying scant attention to the petulant style of high heels into the marble as Rox walked away. She barely glanced at the stack of hundreds, content enough to know that it was there. And that's it.
So Rox stays salty. She is so salty. But also, man, Agnes got, man, first of all, green is my favorite color. Okay. So you mean to tell me, and then like I said, everyone is rendered so beautifully. And so everything is so, and this is, a hallmark of your writing. You can see everything so clearly. And
thank you.
I just be like, she can turn that down. I don't know if I could be surrounded by so many beautiful people and still just be like, no, thank you. No. Like, I don't know. I feel like I have to dip a toe in or something. I don't know. So
just a toe?
That's a lot to ask. So you said that first scene is the scene that came to you, that kind of spawned the book.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Yes. If you haven't read House of Agnes, there's a green box you could click right now and buy it right now from Charis Books and More. Y'all need this book. It's so good. So after having read that, would you say, like, did anything about writing this book surprise you? Or did you learn anything or reaffirm anything about your writing or the way you, like, there's a line in there that where Agnes kind of talks about like sex being about money and power and control. Like, it's always about these things. And like, so like in crafting these characters, did anything surprise you or reaffirm what you might have thought about, like just writing or love or sex or anything or just in general? Like what came out about this, writing this book?
So the book itself gave me lots of surprises, not just in the plot, but in terms of like when I conceived of the story. Like I love John Wick. I love the old guard. I love movies like that have a ton of action, like really impressive people doing impressive things. And so I was like, oh, I can you know, I have this idea for this amazing woman. I've written this first scene, and so she's going to be in that kind of world. And so I was like, oh, it's going to be, you know, easy. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be like, you know, whatever. And it was not smooth. It was not easy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, enjoying those movies and loving certain tropes is not the same thing. It's not, you know, as easy as writing it. So I was definitely set back on my own, what do they call it? Hoist on my own petard. Writing the book in that sense, like, oh yeah, that shit is not easy. Okay, go with yourself in the corner. And also I was surprised by the child that randomly, you know, and was just sort of like, without me giving her permission to be there. And it just,
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you said stuff. Okay. So yeah, so that was surprising, and those two things shocked me. And I really was surprised by and liked the sort of person Agnes became, despite the forces in her life trying to twist her in the opposite direction.
Yeah. I would say that's one of the reasons conversations like this are so enlightening when you are able to talk to the author, because you don't see any of that struggle on the page. And so for any writers that are tuning in, you know, that struggle and that wrestling with whether that scene or character or plot arc, like whatever that is, that struggle is part of the work. And then, you know, you are, you know, killing it when it comes out so smooth and just so beautifully crafted as House of Agnes does. Like every, you know, location change to the, I mean, we go to Vegas, we go to this exclusive club. We go to, like, it's the locations are so rich, and just the through line of it. It's just, it's the book is fun too. Like it's all these things, but it's also fun in a way that a John Wick was fun to watch. You know, all the hit shots notwithstanding, or the way the old guard was just fun to watch. It's fun to be immersed in that world. So awesome.
That makes me so happy. Oh my God, thank you. Wow.
So we are going to take a few questions. If you've got questions, please drop them in the ask a question box thingy. We've got two questions here. One is, which character was most painful for you to write?
Which character was most painful? I think if I answer that question truly, it's going to give away a plot point that I want those who are still reading to be surprised by.
Okay. I know who it is when you say that. I know who it is when you say that. Go ahead.
Okay. And so, yeah, like.
So could you maybe say, like, so instead of saying who the character is, what about that character made it painful?
Her motivations were really off the wall, like understandable motivations, like what the things that shaped her are understandable, but like the way that she chose to deal with that pain and, like, you know, become a survivor was really messed up. And so it was hard because she was hurting people, you know, and hurting one of the characters I really liked. But I had to keep on going forward with it. And so, but she was just so much herself that it wasn't even like I was trying to like shape her into something. She was just there and doing these hurtful things, and like, boom, you know, like it was hard to watch her deal her destruction.
Yeah. Cause you don't like, your characters get into some tough situations, but I don't feel like they ever like suffer. Like you don't never like take them all the way down. And this character,
I don't.
this character is taken down and wants to pull people down with her. And that is a new kind of, that's a different kind of character, I think, for you. For someone to be hurt and angry and lash out in that way, to the point of destroying others, I think. So,
yeah, she was, yeah, definitely. It was wild. The only similar thing to me like that is like in Every Dark Desire, when at the end, when the other vampire was revealed to be the traitor, which also I also like, oh yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. Like those motivations behind it. Because you read it and then you'll be like, but baby, you ain't got to do it like that. You ain't got to do it like that. Let's find some healing, baby. So
therapy
get some
works.
Therapy. Yeah. Roland's saying Broken in Soft Places took characters down kind of low. Yeah, I would say so. But I feel like there was still like a redemptive quality. A redemptive quality that doesn't exist for a particular character in this current book. Another question, since you've written so many books, do these characters run around all the time for you? So are these characters like hanging out in your head and still around? What's that like?
No, I think like once I have like written a book and I've mentally closed that book and closed that chapter and closed their journey, I'm done. Like I, as much as I really enjoyed writing Hunter, for instance, like for me, that journey is over and she's just a pleasant memory. Like the only ones that are still there and kicking around and like, you know, agitating are the ones whose stories are still needing to be told or are incomplete. Like Nuria, for example, is definitely like galloping around in my head and demanding things every 5 minutes. And then of course Chance in Stud Like Her is there, and so many. There's a lot going on, but yeah, it's easy, not easy. I close books and chapters and plot arcs and then I move on.
Yeah. I did a masterclass this morning, and I found it was about characters, and I found this statistic that like 61% of writers 63% of writers can hear their characters talking to them, and 61% said they act independently on the page. Do your characters ever act independently on the page?
Absolutely. I mean, the many times when characters have done things that I didn't expect, or just like, you know, became either amazing or damaged or vengeful or redeemed without me even like thinking about it. They just like walked into their own future and walked their own path. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. Like they are themselves. They're not, you know, they're not my puppets at all.
Yeah. Cool. So speaking of the future, what's next? What's cracking next for you? What you got coming down the way?
Oh my gosh, so many things. The writer life. So I have Stud Like Her coming out in December, and I think December 7th. And that's already up for pre-order. And that's going to be my sort of stud for stud, butch relationship novel. That's a sequel to Femme Like Her.
Yeah.
And
snaps! I got to interrupt you. My apologies.
Interrupt.
You said the word butch, so it made me think of this. My apologies if you ain't got to this part of the book yet, but it's not a big deal. But can I request that you make some merch and make t-shirt for me and anyone else who wants it, but mainly I'm asking for myself. Let's be clear. Butch's bottom too. Her homegirl got that t-shirt, and when I read that t-shirt, I was like, I want that t-shirt. Can you please make some Fiona Zedde merch? and make a Butch's Bottom 2 t-shirt so I can have that t-shirt.
Okay, I'll think about it.
I would get that t-shirt and I would wear it maybe every day. I'm not sure, but can we get that
maybe
shirt?
several so you can take a shower and like wash the shirts in between.
I got a washing machine. But yeah, so
True.
I just, when you said Butch's for the stud like her, that made me think of me wanting that t-shirt. So I just want to put it out there. There's some enthusiasm in the chat for it. So you got at least 1, 2, 3. You got like 3 sales for. Okay, you can make a limited edition. You know what I'm saying? Joanne want one. Like, we want this shirt that Butch's Bottom 2.
Okay.
I'll
make notes. Coming to an Etsy store near you.
Can you tell everybody where to find you and where to engage with you and all that good stuff?
Yes, for sure. I am everywhere at FionaZedde.com or at Fiona Zedde. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Where else am I? Maybe that's it. Facebook, IG, and Twitter at Fiona Zedde. And then my website is FionaZedde.com.
Let me get this in here.
And then if you're looking for my sort of like straight work as Lindsay Evans, you can find me as LindsayEvansWrites.com as well. And that's where I write my like Harlequin kissing straight romance books.
All right.
Yes.
I got it in the chat. I wasn't sure. Is ER coming back to close or are we closing?
I think we're closing.
Okay. We're just an hour or we on our half?
Yeah. We're at 57 minutes.
No, I'm coming back to help you close.
Okay.
Basically just to say again, buy this book with the
book.
Steal link. Buy this book. Buy it for a friend.
But by the way, if you buy the book from Charis, you'll get a signed book plate of my signature. I sent a bunch of book plates over to Charis that are actual signature of mine with my little logo. So you'll get with each book in the front cover my signature. So if you buy the paperback from Charis, you'll get that.
And it's a whole button right there. You can just click it right there and buy it right now.
It's very easy. So yes, thank y'all so much. This is so fun. Thank you to ZAMI NOBLA. The link to ZAMI NOBLA is higher up in the chat, but support ZAMI NOBLA, support their work. We would love for folks also to check out Charis's upcoming events. That's at charisbooksandmore.com. Sheree dropped that link in the chat. But Fiona, we miss you in Atlanta, but we're glad you're having fun cavorting around Spain. And we hope that you both stay safe and well in the meantime.
Thank you so much.
You're Charis too.
Okay. Bye.
Peace.